So this is a video I didn't think I'd be making, like, ever. So the WCA board just announced that they are going to be adding FTO, or face-turning octahedron, to the WCA's list of official events. That's great. I think everyone wanted that. But they are coupling this announcement with the removal of clock. After careful consideration, the WCA board has decided to add face-turning octahedron to the WCA's list of official events and remove clock. What the heck? I'm gonna skip the FTO part because that's fine. Everyone wanted that. I'm just gonna skip straight to the part where they remove clock. At the same time, we prepare to say goodbye to clock. Although clock has seen significant interest in recent years, it continues to be a relatively problematic event, as frequently highlighted by WCA volunteers and community members. Despite multiple changes to the WCA regulations, clock remains highly prone to incidents. Running clock at competitions can be challenging as it is difficult to scramble correctly and requires use of different procedures or equipment from other speed-solving events. Determining whether a clock is solved and seeing a competitor progress through a solve are not easily visible at a distance and substantially reduce the spectator appeal of the event, particularly to non-specialist audiences. These issues stem from the fundamental differences between clock and the puzzles used for other events. Clock is highly dissimilar from these puzzles, and clock's existing recognition by the WCA arises from historical factors. Removing clock strengthens the WCA's identity as being an organization for three-dimensional, geometrical twisty puzzles and not other mechanical puzzles. Clock will continue to be generally available at WCA competitions until July 18, 2027. The World Championships will then be the last competition to officially hold this event. This provides a substantial notice period for the pending change and gives a final send-off to clock at the WCA's largest stage. Recent volunteer and community surveys concerning the WCA's list of recognized events formed an input into the decisions taken, although were only one of several factors considered. You can see a summary of the survey results here. We know that the changes in this announcement will be disappointing for some, but consider these to be important strategic changes that strengthen the WCA's core identity and best set us up for future success. Alright, I have so many problems with this, so let's just try to speak on it. First, clock is not a relatively problematic event. Second, despite multiple changes to the WCA regulations, clock remains highly prone to incidents. This is referring to the incident at the World Championships last year, where two people received a misscramble, and it is believed to have happened during transportation. And I'm sorry, but that's just a skill issue. Like, if the runner did their job properly, that wouldn't have happened. It's just a skill issue. It's not difficult to scramble correctly. Different procedures, you could make an argument for that, but then you have to be willing to admit it for literally every event. Different equipment, not anymore. That was changed with the new regulations. Now this next part has a point, right here. Basically, it just says it's not a spectator-friendly event. But come on, I was at the World Championships last year, and people loved watching clock. Like, clock's a fun event to watch. But while we're on the topic of non-spectator friendly events, I don't see this talking about 2x2 and Tira, which are too fast to see anything, or 7x7, which is just too long. And don't even get me started on 4-blind, 5-blind, multi-blind, and FMC. No one even knows where those are held. Now, this next paragraph just says that clock is not a normal twisty puzzle, but just because it's different is no excuse to get rid of it. Now, this second to last paragraph is just, they say that the survey they sent out was an input into the decisions taken. So let's have a look at the results. I'm going to skip the addition of an event and skip straight to part 4, removing events or reducing event status. If an event needed to be removed, which it didn't, and I'll get to that later, but if an event needed removed, it shouldn't have been clock. The top vote was 5x5 blindfolded. Clock was the second, and 7x7 was third. Responses to the final 3 text input question also frequently mentioned these events. Clock was identified as being dissimilar to the other twisty puzzle events recognized by the WCA. 5 blind and 7x7 were identified as having a lower degree of uniqueness than other events when compared to 4 blind and 6x6 respectively. Clock being dissimilar to other events, isn't that just a reason to not get rid of it? Like, if there's nothing else like it, it should be in the WCA. Part 5, compromise approaches. If you look at the results, the idea of removing events at all was clearly not favorable among the community or volunteers. Scrolling down, if a lower tier of events was added, how do you feel about the following? The popular vote was to either hold fewer rounds of an event or that there shouldn't be a lower tier of events at all. Volunteers liked having stricter qualifications requirements, and I don't have a problem with that if it's for a major championship. Now, this very last part says, overall, the best supported approaches, D and E, were those not necessarily requiring a separate formal tier of events. In responses to the final 3 text input question, frequently mentioned that these approaches are already sometimes used in practice, particularly for events such as FMC, 4-blind, 5-blind, and multi-blind. Yeah, and that right there is why you don't even need to compromise at all, because it's already sometimes used, just usually for major championships that can't fit another event. No one even watches these 4 events anyways. So yeah, the board didn't listen to the community at all, and the reasons they gave for Clock's removal are complete nonsense. I would like to share a message from Roman Wolford, who is the WCAT leader. He says, I have a uniform message I want to share everywhere I can for those not in the know. I learned about this decision several days before it became public, and I fought extremely hard to have them reconsider. This was a decision solely made by the WCA's executives with no advisory input from the CEWG and against the interest of the survey results. I am extremely disgusted and rather demoralized on this decision, and it seriously makes me reconsider my role in the WCA. This is a horrible, horrible decision by the board, and I highly recommend you voice your displeasure as loudly as possible. So yeah, the board didn't even listen to each other. They made this terrible decision on their own, and I personally have lost 100% of my faith in them. I've been making Clock for around 6 months now, and I've gotten pretty good, and I'm still improving fast. This decision directly affects me, and to see my main event go is just devastating, especially as I was just starting to get good. And there are plenty of people who are better than me and have been doing Clock longer than me who I'm sure are even more upset than I am. There's a petition to reinstate Clock as an official event again, and if you want Clock back, I highly, highly recommend you go sign it if you haven't already. If we get enough people protesting, then I think there's a small chance we can get Clock back again. Anyways, I'll leave a link to all this stuff in the description. Executives at the head of the WCA, if you're watching, please reinstate Clock. The entire speed cubing community is asking. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.